Kia ora and welcome to Inside Rugby with Mark. Yes, my name is Mark. I'm a retired Kiwi bloke living here in beautiful Cancun in Mexico, and I'm a huge rugby fan. And I want to thank you all for joining us from across the world. There's a lot of new subscribers coming into this channel, which is absolutely fantastic. And I want to thank you all for hitting that subscribe button because it helps me on my mission. And if you're new to the channel, just quickly, my mission is to try and play a small role in helping the great game of rugby to grow across the world. And there's lots of ways that you can help me do that. So if you want to support this channel, here's a few ways that you can do it. And one of the ways is you can buy me a beer. Yes, that's right. That's what Super Thanks is all about. And Dennis Miller, 1984, thank you very much for your Super Thanks yesterday. Really appreciate it. Those are the kinds of contributions that are going to help me keep this channel going forward and getting better and better over time. So thank you very much, Dennis Miller, 1984. Now today, we're 24 hours after that fantastic game between the South African Springboks and New Zealand All Blacks. We've all had a chance to calm down a little bit, think about it a little bit more. And what I thought I'd do today is make a video as though I was sitting down having a chat to the New Zealand head coach, Scott Razor Robertson, a day after that game, and just share some of my views and opinions. Now, as always on my channel, I love your comments, so please make sure you leave a comment on this video. You don't have to be a New Zealand fan or a South African fan. You can just be a fan of the great game of rugby. Make sure your comments are respectful. I saw yesterday that we started to get borderline with some of those comments. Just remember, everybody's got a view and opinion, and most of the time it's going to be different than yours, so just respect that and then move on. That's the way we should deal with it. But I want this channel to be very respectful, and I'm going to demand that, so we're going to watch out for those comments. So the first thing I'd be saying to Scott Robertson is saying, look mate, I think what we need to do is we need to look at the bigger picture here, and we need to build towards that bigger picture. And of course the big picture is the Rugby World Cup in 2027 in Australia. No one's going to worry about the Rugby Championship in 2024 and what happened there if you happen to lose a few games. But I think just like Rassie is doing with the Springboks team, the All Blacks has to have this mindset of bringing more players through the system and building that depth that everybody is talking about in the comments. We're sticking too loyal to some players, and as a result of that, we're getting burned. And we're getting burned because I believe those players are not in the right position at the right time for the All Blacks. Now, let me explain what I'm talking about. A lot of you are getting on to me about my dislike for TJ Perenara and Damian McKenzie. Well, there's a reason for that. And in my opinion, they're not the two guys that should be in those roles. In the case of Perenara, I don't think he's a starting nine. I think we have a better option in Cortez Ratama, and we need to be building him into the All Black team and giving him an opportunity against these top teams in World Rugby by starting him at number 9. Look at what Rassie's doing with Sasha Feinberg in Ngomazulu. He's giving him the option to get in there and start these games against the best teams. He's giving him that litmus test. And that's what I think Scott needs to do with some of these players, not bringing them off the bench. Now, a lot of people would say, well, yeah, you could destroy a young guy's career that way. No, you'll decide whether or not you've got somebody like Sasha who's come into that Springboks team and he's now owning that 10 jersey, and he's showing that he's got the talent and the depth to be able to go on and build that development with the Springboks team. Of course, he's making mistakes. He's not the perfect solution as yet. But you can tell by his natural ability that he's got that little bit of magic that's required. Now, the All Blacks have those players, but they're not playing them, in my opinion, in those positions, and they need to be given those opportunities. So put Ratama in there for 4 or 5 games, see how he goes, and then assess it from there. And then because we're in this period between Rugby World Cups, we can build accordingly. And who knows, Cam Roygaard's going to be back, and we might have some other options coming through. But for me, the best days of PJ Perenara contribution to All Black rugby, other than coming in off the bench, is probably past him, and I would be taking a different approach. Now with Damian McKenzie, we saw it again yesterday. Yes, he did some good things well. I'm not dismissing him in terms of having a totally bad game. But again, if you compare him to Sasha Feinberg and Ngomazulu, there's a big difference in terms of natural ability and thinking from a number 10 perspective. I used to like McKenzie when he came off the bench for the All Blacks at number 15. He's got that injection of speed in that last 20 minutes of the game. It can be extremely dangerous. He's scored tries for the All Blacks coming in off the bench. He's also set up a lot of other tries as well. And he's a bit of a weapon that could be used in that position, I feel. I don't think McKenzie is the right solution. So then people have been saying to me, okay, who would you put in that position? Well, I would give Harry Plummer a try, because I think he's that kind of solid, steady state number 10 that the All Blacks need to have to be able to get their backline away. And for that, I'd be looking at the backline selections as well. So another thing I would say to Razor is, I think we've got it wrong with Jordie Barrett and Rieko Ioane. I'd like to see Anton Leonard-Brown there with Proctor, and I think those two deserve to be given the opportunity to really create innovation around the All Black backline we saw. Another thing that I'd share with Razor as well is I'd say I don't think the Bomb Squad won that game for the Springboks yesterday. Yes, they had an impact on the game, but where the game was really lost for me with the All Blacks was after they scored that try early in the second half, they didn't go on and score more points. I also don't think the All Blacks scored enough tries in the first half. So if I was coaching the All Blacks, I'd be saying, look, we've got to get out there and try and score as many points as we possibly can in the first 40 minutes and then try to hold on to the game, knowing what's coming at us. If we remember back to Mount Smart Stadium in Auckland last year in the Rugby Championship, the All Blacks got off to a fantastic start. They put enough points on the board that when the Bomb Squad came on, they were able to repel that strong enough that they got away with the win in the game. So I think the All Blacks have to take the philosophy of we need to go out there and play 40 or 50 minutes of absolutely fantastic rugby, throwing everything at the competition and scoring as many points as we can. To do that, we have to have the right players in the right positions and making the right decisions to be able to play that game. We saw a couple of tries that were left out there from the All Blacks yesterday, as we did from the Springboks. There's no doubt about that. But Ethan Blackadder should have passed out to Caleb Clark on the wing, and he would have gone in for a try. That could have really changed the difference in this game. So my take on this is that the All Blacks are a front foot playing rugby team. If we get out there and we execute our skills properly, we're as good as anybody in the world in terms of putting points on the board. And that has always been our weapon in terms of differentiation. So I would be looking at building that up more in the All Blacks, looking for players that can come into the squad to be able to do that. And I think Billy Proctor is one of those players that is able to do that for the All Blacks. We need to see more creativity in the 12 and 13 jersey. Jordie Barrett had a fairly good game yesterday, I'm not denouncing that, but there's too many lulls and troughs with these players at the moment. We're not seeing a high level of consistency and creativity, in my opinion, from the All Black backline. Now, some of you have asked me in the comments, would I put Beauden Barrett at 10? No, I wouldn't put Beauden Barrett at 10. We have seen what a lethal weapon Beauden Barrett is from fullback and also coming off the bench. So that's something else that I would talk to Razor about and say, look, I think when Stephen Perifeta is fit and ready to go, he needs to come back in and be given an opportunity. When he did play, I didn't see anything too wrong with Perifeta, and I think with a couple of more games under his belt, he can show some really good ability from the fullback position. And then you have that option of bringing Bodie Barrett in off the bench for that last 20 minutes of the game. And we've already seen against England how that can work out for the All Blacks. And heading up to the Rugby World Cup in 2027, we need to think about, okay, how old's Beauden Barrett going to be? Is he going to have that devastating speed over 80 minutes? Or are we going to have better selection opportunities? And I think we are. So again, as we build towards 2027, everything in our selection process should be mindful of that development opportunity. So I would like to see Stephen Perifeta come back in at fullback. I'm not a fan of putting Will Jordan at fullback. He scored all these tries from the All Blacks on the wing. What Will Jordan needs is he needs good services from his inside centres, and he's currently not getting that from Jordie Barrett and Rieko Ioane. So we need to change that up. And I think if we had someone like Billy Proctor outside there, he would be able to create plays that enable Will Jordan to get out there and be as damaging as executing his tries that he can possibly do. Now, a lot of you also made reference in the comments about the All Blacks bench and how weak and soft and uninspiring it is at the moment. I would tend to agree with you. And I liked some of the comments that are coming through about putting some of the bigger boys on the bench. Satiti perhaps needs to be in there. And what is going on with Hoskins Satutu? Why is he not making this All Black team at least on the bench? I'd like to hear from the Kiwi fans on that one. But New Zealand needs to do something different on the bench. They need to have their own response to the bomb squad. They need to have guys that are coming on and making an impact. They don't have to be huge players. Look at what Quagga Smith does for the Springboks. He's not a giant of a guy, yet he comes on with his exceptional skill sets and he's able to make a difference. And that's what the bench criteria should be for me. It should be a group of players that can come on at that 60-minute mark or beforehand and make a difference to the game. And that's what that bomb squad does for South Africa. They're able to come on and make a difference. You've got people like Malcolm Marx, who has a specific skill set. You have Quagga Smith, who comes on. You've got R.G. Schneemann, who usually comes on, and he's got that offloading ability that makes a huge difference for South Africa. So I think rather than just focusing on size and brutality off the bench, the All Blacks need to select a group of players that are going to come on and make a strategic difference. You can't afford to have someone like Ofa Tuanga coming on and giving away yellow cards. You can't afford to have the Asafa Amuas coming on and doing bad line-out throws. We've seen that throughout the series so far this year with the All Blacks. So those skill sets need to be improved so that these players who are coming off the bench are absolutely able to make a difference and impact on the game. So my message to Razor would be simple. I'd be saying, look, you've got 3 years now to build the squad together and get the right players in the right positions. Take away the fear of losing. I think that's one of the biggest issues with this All Black team. They think they need to go out there every single time and win the game of rugby. Now that rugby has changed across the world, we've got other dominant teams in the game of rugby. We need to be more experimental with our selections. We need to give younger players the opportunity to come through, and we need to play them against the best teams in the world. And again, I go to Rassie and I say, look at what Rassie's doing. We've seen an enormous amount of change in the Springboks team throughout the Rugby Championship so far this year. He's giving players an opportunity. Some of it's through injury, of course, but a lot of it is to say, right, I'm going to throw you in there and I'm going to give you the opportunity to show to me that you're worthy of that jersey. And in Sasha Feinberg and Goma Zulu, he's created an absolute superstar because now he's played against the All Blacks at Ellis Park. He's got the confidence from that game. I thought he had an exceptionally good game. Yes, he did a few things that could be improved on, but nobody's perfect, and these guys need to be given the opportunity. Again, I go back to Damian McKenzie. The decision making in that game, the kicking strategy was wrong, and I think it cost the All Blacks a large part of that game. So again, I would like to change up the selections for the All Blacks and say to Razor, look, put these other options in there, give them a few games together, see how they go, and then sit back and make another assessment from there. You don't have to stick with loyalty with these guys and put these guys under pressure, because when it comes crunch time and these guys let you down, then the whole thing's going to fall apart. So I would rather see, okay, we've tried all the different options and these are the players that really stood up. We're seeing that with the likes of Ethan Blackadder now and Sam Derry. These guys are playing really, really well. They're putting their hand up and saying, I want to own this jersey. I'm doing the things consistently well that make sure that I need to be in this All Black team. And we need to make sure that's consistent across all the other positions. That's what I would be saying to Razor at the moment. Now make sure you leave your comments, because I'm sure a lot of you don't agree with me. So if you don't agree, rather than just saying I don't agree, tell me why and explain your perspective. Do you think Razor should be sticking with these players and showing loyalty, so hoping that they grow into these positions? Do you think he should take more of a Rassie approach and change the team around a lot and give a lot of new players opportunities in different positions? I think the Springboks have got this right, and this is something that's building an enormous amount of depth. And even though a lot of the Springboks fans are saying that, well, we didn't play that well and we still left a lot of points out there, yes, that could be the case. But the bigger picture is that this squad is being developed enormously heading towards the Rugby World Cup. Rassie's going to have two full teams of players that have got this experience against the best teams in the world, and he knows who his A team and B team is going to be as we head to Australia. He wants to make seamless interchanges in position so players do not drop the standard against the certain opposition they're playing. And that's exactly what I think Razor should be doing with this All Black team. Now, I'd love to hear from you, so get your keyboards out there, start writing comments to me on this thought process. Do you think Razor Robertson should be looking at the bigger picture, take away the fear of losing some of these games now, but trying out new players in these different positions? A lot of you have commented about changing around the loose forwards for the All Blacks, putting Sevilla back in at 7. I'd love to see that as well, so why not try it out in a game and see how it actually goes? That's what I'm talking about in this video. Okay, thanks very much for your support. Keep supporting the channel. I want to make a difference in the world of rugby. I can only do it with you supporting me through this process. So get on to the comments now and give this video a bit of a thumbs up as well. I'm going to be back with plenty more content coming up really soon. We've got an exciting game coming up from Cape Town next weekend. I'm going to give you my feedback on the Aussies-Argentina game yesterday as well, and plenty more coming up here on Inside Rugby with Mark. So stick around for that one, and I'll see you again really soon. Stay well, stay safe everyone, be respectful to each other in the comments, and I'll see you again really soon. Adios from now from beautiful Cancun in Mexico. Bye-bye.